Speaking about the possibility of other countries getting involved into this war, we have heard and we do know that the United States have been clear, and the European Union and NATO, they all have been clear that they are not going to interfere. But if, say, Russia used any kind of weapons of mass destruction, say chemical weapons or biological weapons or nuclear weapons, would that change the position of the United States, namely?
Well, it sort of, I guess it depends on, like, chemicals, sort of depends on what kind. Do they use chlorine, and then they can, there'd be a fight over, well, maybe it was an industrial accident. We saw that in Mariupol when we saw a couple people have symptoms that could have been related to chemicals. So you got people saying, well, it's a big industrial plant. Maybe they were released from inadvertently from the attack on a storage facility. So anything that's not massive, no, won't change it. But if we have evidence of nerve gas, you see thousands of Ukrainian civilians dying or being flushed into the cities, that should change. I don't know if it would bring about Western intervention, and President Biden made comments to imply that it wouldn't be a military response that way. It would be some other kind of response that the U.S. would and the allies would pursue. But it just really depends on what happens, how sure we are it was deliberate, and the casualties and so on.
But how about the nukes?
Yeah, well, that would be a big game changer. The Russians would use the nukes to frighten the West not to intervene, I would think. I mean, there's no military reason why they would need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine directly, if they plan to occupy the whole country or at least take advantage of its resources. So if they use it, it would be more to warn the West or influence Western decision making. And then that would be a big question. What does the West do? It depends on where the nuke was used, and does the U.S. respond with a nuclear weapon? Does it respond some other way? There's a group in the government that's gaming all these scenarios out, and so they probably got a playbook for how to do this. But it really just depends a lot on the scenario and where and what was used. But I tend to think it unlikely, as long as NATO stays out of the war, that the Russians would use a nuclear weapon, even if they're stalemated. It seems. It just seems like a bridge too far. But again, I and everybody else here have been wrong about judging what President Putin will do and why he does it. So I'm glad there are some people looking at this scenario.